Toyota takes another step on its uneven road to recovery. I'm David Gillen reporting for Business Day Live. I'll be speaking soon with Jeremy Anwyl of Edmunds.com about Toyota, and Brian Stelter from our media desk is here to discuss a shift in cultural perceptions of gay people on TV. But first, Peter Eavis from DealBook is here to talk about a shakeup at Green Mountain Coffee, which is best known for its K-Cup coffee-making systems. Peter, good morning.
Hey, how you doing, David?
Good. This is a dramatic reversal for Green Mountain, which until not long ago was one of the hottest stocks around. First, we had some disappointing earnings, and now this shakeup. The chairman, founder, out, another director out after selling a large chunk of stock to meet margin calls. How serious is this?
Well, I think it's very serious for them because they basically borrowed against very large amounts of their shares, and as the stock cratered after those poor earnings, they were forced to sell, which increases the pain for all the other shareholders.
Right. Now, the founder, Robert Stiller, chairman, what is his role going to be going forward?
Almost nothing. I mean, the fact is he was only chairman at the time that, up until recently. He was the CEO up until 2007. He didn't really have any executive control, as far as I know, but he did have very large amounts of the company's stock.
Right, it was like $125 million worth of stock that he sold?
Yeah, that's what he had to sell. Recently, he sold a lot more than that over the last, 3 to 4 years.
So, look, are these sales, do they square with the company's policy on trades?
Well, no, that was the thing, is that even though he was forced to sell these shares because they were backing loans, that didn't matter to the company because it violated certain terms which govern stock sales by executives. And so he was kind of in a bind, but that's how it works. I mean, sometimes margin calls can be merciless.
Now look, he founded Green Mountain back in '81, I think, made him a billionaire. Presumably, this guy had other assets he could have sold.
Well, that's the big question, Mark.
Why sell the company
and that's
stock?
a very good question. I think that's something we have to, look into, and I tried to get at in the piece today, which is he would have sold shares in the past and used that money to buy other assets. Now, whether or not you could make those into cash quickly, that's another question. He bought an apartment on the Upper West Side for $17.5 million. Hard to sell that quickly. And there's reports of him buying a yacht. I don't know how quickly those clear either.
Okay. Now, look, a famous hedge fund manager, famous in financial circles, David Einhorn, came out last autumn, I think, and sort of drew a target on the back of Green Mountain, saying he was questioning their accounting. I mean, is any of this related to short sellers out there who just want the stock to?
Well, most of the share selling and the margin data is just there in public documents. They didn't make that up. They didn't produce that. What they have done is create a case for questioning their accounting. Right. And so when you had the poor earnings, you'd expect maybe the stock to go down 10, 20%, but it actually halved. And part of that is people thinking, well, look, maybe there really is something to those allegations, and let's just get out of the stock.
All right, Peter, thanks.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to turn to a company that has been facing difficulties for quite a while. Toyota has fallen far from the heights it attained in 2008. The financial crisis and natural disasters have taken their toll on the company, but Toyota's CEO says the carmaker is ready to go on the offensive. Jeremy Anwyl joins me from Edmunds.com out in Santa Monica. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
So look, you've looked through the numbers today. They looked strong to me, not just the quarter, but then this sort of, the CEO back on the offensive. I mean, how do these numbers look?
Well, I think when you look at their performance over the past 12 months, the numbers are certainly better than a lot of people might have expected. They've had a difficult couple of years. You mentioned the financial crisis. After that, there was the safety crisis with the unintended acceleration. That hit them very hard in North America. And then just a little over a year ago, they had the earthquake and then the tsunami. That triggered production shortages, and we had price increases. Anytime you have a short supply of product and the market prices go up, all of that conspired to create a very tough market for them. And then when you look at the financial results, they don't seem nearly as bad as they could have been when you consider all of that.
Right. Now, if I'm looking at the numbers right, sales seem to be up everywhere but North America, which is obviously a critical market for them. I'm assuming that Toyota is got to cope with some renewed competition from a resurgent Detroit, right?
Well, I think it's a complex picture because we certainly had, obviously we had Chrysler, we had General Motors that went through a bankruptcy. Ford has been on the rebound trail. But what happened last year with the production shortages, the supply issues that Toyota had, really created a vacuum in the marketplace. And it tied in exactly when Ford and General Motors were introducing some product in segments that they traditionally had not been successful in. I'm talking about compact cars. So there was a void in the marketplace. The domestic car companies were able to exploit that at Toyota's expense. And the two are really kind of wrapped entwined. And I think that for both General Motors and for Ford, we've seen market share declines already this year as Toyota's been rebounding. And I think it's going to be a very competitive marketplace going forward, really for everybody.
Right. Now, Toyota's CEO, Akio Toyoda, he read some very upbeat statements today, sort of suggested, as I said, that they're going to go on the offensive. So what's next? What's his strategy going forward, do you know?
Well, I think fundamentally it's around products. So late last year they introduced what was really an all-new Camry, although critics looked at it and said it looked a lot like the old Camry. But it seems to be very well received in the marketplace. So the formula really is around new product. They've got a Corolla that's coming up, and that's really where they've had a bit of a lag. They haven't had some exciting new product in quite a while, and I think they're trying to remedy that.
Great. Jeremy, thanks a lot for joining us this morning.
Sure, anytime.
And finally, as the television industry gears up to announce a new slate of shows, one thing missing is controversy over a raft of sitcoms and dramas with prominent gay characters. Brian Stelter is here from the media desk to talk about it.
Good morning.
So what you're really writing about is the absence of something,
it's
the absence of outrage.
These
Where's
stories
the outrage?
come along once in a while, right? Where it's actually a story because there is no story. One of my editors pointed out to me about a year ago that we never hear about campaigns against shows with gay characters anymore.
Right.
It's a big change from 1997 when
Huge.
Ellen was on the air.
Absolutely.
And I remember there was I don't remember, I had to look it up in a book actually, go figure.
You youngster, okay.
Couldn't find it on YouTube, right? There was a scene on the Ellen show. She had come out a year earlier. She was going to jokingly kiss her female friend. And ABC put a warning label on the front of the show.
Parental
That would never
discretion,
happen these days. We see Cameron and Mitchell on Modern Family kiss all the time.
Now, look, how much of this, I think you quote somebody in this, I think may have even been the creator of Modern Family, that this is not so much about a change in television as is a change in America.
It changed in America. And people say they're surprised, in the television industry, they're surprised by how fast this change has happened. And we see it in polls as well, rising support for gay rights. But it's also a business issue because it's about creating content people can relate to and want to watch. If television doesn't reflect the America that people know, then people may not watch. And I think Modern Family is so striking because it's the biggest show among 18 to 49-year-olds in America.
Right.
And it has these gay characters that are so quote-unquote normal. They're not stereotypical. They're not. It's not Queer Eye for the Straight Guy anymore. These are just normal dads trying to raise a kid.
Now, interestingly, I mean, again, I just bring it up every time because it's an election year and we look at everything through a political lens in an election year. Mitt Romney is said to actually like Modern Family.
As is President Obama.
As is President Obama. You know, do these shows actually seriously shape the conversation, you know, in the world of politics, or not?
Well, I think it's, clearly here it's maybe a bridge between people. At least they're watching the same shows if we can't agree on anything else. I was talking to a friend last night who said when he goes home in North Dakota, he doesn't have much in common with his friends there who tend to be in a red state. But Modern Family is something they all agree on. And that's, of course, the best of pop culture when it can bring people together like that.
Right. What about other new things in the lineup that we should be looking out for that speak to this trend?
I'm interested in the fall. I wonder what we're going to see on the fall shows because we have a couple of shows every year that seem to include gay characters in a new way. Dancing with the Stars in the fall had Chaz Bono, the first transgender contestant on the show. This fall there's a show coming from one of the creators of Glee called The New Normal. It's about two men who are trying to have a child through a female surrogate. And the title, The New Normal, sort of says it all. Wouldn't have been possible on television 20 years ago.
Great, Brian, thanks a lot.
Thanks.
That's all for today. Please stay with us online at nytimes.com for our continuing coverage of these and other stories. I'm David Gillen reporting for Business Day Live. Thanks for watching.